where Floyd Mayweather and 50 Cent a couple of years ago met each other out here in this very same parking lot, in this very same arena, where the Kings had one of their best seasons ever, right? And when the Sacramento Kings had the best season ever, what that brought was celebrity, big names coming to the games, right? It was against Golden State, Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, all these big names in the world of basketball, okay? So, as a result of that, it became apparent that Floyd Mayweather and 50 Cent were sitting diametrically across from each other. Now, from the very beginning, I thought that he said James Harden trade, homie. Explain what that was. James Harden got traded? I don't follow basketball. I am, however, in the Sacramento Kings arena right now, okay? Because obviously 24-Hour Fitness is right here where I film a lot of my conditioning sessions for you guys. So, yeah, let me know on the comment section below if you guys can hear me okay, because we're going to get cracking with this show right now. And we're certainly going to talk about the lawsuit that Floyd Mayweather has going on, along with his beef with 50 Cent, an ongoing beef that they've had with each other for a long time. And then on top of that, he says, gotcha now. Okay, good audio. Yeah. I don't know what it is, man. Like, sometimes whenever you have the headphones on, like, the audio cuts out, but then when you don't have the headphones, it's like, you know, it's like using a microphone in my studio. He says, shout out G-Unit. G-Unit! Let me tell you, man, 50 Cent was one of the most iconoclastic rappers ever. You want to know what a lot of people resonated with him about? He beefed with everybody and wasn't scared. During the 2000s, many people had this idea that, you know what, if you talk about Jay-Z, he's going to come and kill you. He's going to come and do a drive-by on you. If you talk about, you know, X, Y, and Z, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. Well, the reality is they do absolutely nothing. I found out as an adult that Jay-Z is nothing more than a pedo-ass bitch. Okay, and it is 50 Cent who is the real gangster. Shout out to Andrew Wants. He says 50 Cent is an OG, shot 9 times, he a dog. You know who else got shot like that, right? LaRon Murphy. Okay, Manchester's own LaRon Murphy. And funny enough, LaRon Murphy walks out to Tupac, right? And I gotta be honest with you, right? I feel a little bit kind of eerie about an English fighter walking out to a California song, right? Ambitions of a Rider. I mean, you gotta understand how many people out there have done drive-bys with that song. You know what I mean? He says, my favorite rapper is 50 Cent. Well, my man, you came to the right place, because I grew up loving 50 Cent. I was one of these people back in the early 2000s that got all the 50 Cent mixtapes. If you remember the G-Unit mixtapes that he did, where he rapped over Eminem's Soldier, I'm a soldier, boom, boom. Oh my goodness, man. Let me tell you, everybody in the Marine Corps was rocking that. All the soldiers were rocking that back in the days, all the Marines, the sailors. 50 Cent was the soundtrack to the War on Terror era, and not only that, he was a soundtrack to the mid-90s, 2000s gangbanging from New York all the way to California. 50 Cent, Eminem, Let's Effing Go. That's right. You remember that song, right? You know, 50 runs New York. I run New York. And you know what? I would argue that he probably runs Cali too. Or at least, you know what? Here's the interesting about 50 Cent, right? When he signed the Game, there was a definitive reason why he wanted to do that. You see, the Game was a prominent Blood member. So that means if 50 Cent was to bring in a real Compton Blood in G-Unit, it would legitimize his gang, G-Unit, right? Which, by the way, is not a California gang. It's not a New York gang. It's not really a real gang. It's a rap group. But nowadays, rap groups can literally be turned into gangs, at least according to federal indictments, that indicative of Little Durk with OTR. is it OTR? OTF, I believe. No, it's OTF. OTR is the record label of Lefty Gunplay. And by the way, shout out to Lefty Gunplay. My man won a Grammy. Lefty Gunplay won a Grammy for doing a song with Kendrick Lamar, and all he had to say was crazy, scary, spooky, hilarious, crazy, scary, spooky, hilarious. And then he had to do his little essay dance at the same time. You know, essays, when they dance, you know, this is how they dance, right? The essays. This is how they dance. Hold on, let me make sure there's no tatted up, bald-headed dudes out here that's gonna come in, you know, and run up on me for making fun. But nah, man, shout out to the essays, but that's just how they dance. You know, they do their little boogie, you know, the little lowrider dance that they do. You know, like, you gotta make it look like you're flexing one time, you know what I mean? Doing the, check out the guns, yeah. But anyways, man, that was literally the reason why 50 Cent added the game to G Unit. He wanted Compton Bloods, you know, as part of his crew. And not only that, he signed an artist who, by the way, nowadays became a podcaster very similar to Joe Button's Spider Loke. And as I told you guys, Spider Loke is a member of the East Coast Crips, not to be mistaken with East Coast Crips, or let's say Crips from New York or New Jersey. But the reason why they're called the East Coast Crips is they lived in 90th Street in Los Angeles. And if you go to the Los Angeles area in the 90s, in the 90s Street, not the 90s era, but the 90s Street era, the 90s Street area, it's in the east side of LA, but it's near a coast. If you guys can, you know, visualize that, okay? So that was what he wanted to do. And then later on, he had a fallout with Spider Loke. Of course, he had a fallout with the game. At the time, the game around 2005 came out with this slogan, G-U not. So just as you were telling me earlier to say G-Unit, G-U not, right? That was the game's whole entire thing. It was basically his whole entire anti-G-Unit thing when him and 50 Cent had a fallout. And obviously, due to that fallout, it ended up with, you know, a shooting in New York, right? So kudos to the game on that, right? Because in my opinion, dude, you can't be a gangster if you've only been really involved in gang stuff in your area, right? You're just a local gangster. But if you're a real international James Bond villain type of gangster, man, you need to be doing dirt around. But, you know, that comes with federal indictment, so I suggest not to do any of that to anybody. He says, the game is soft as F. Okay, so Epstein didn't kill himself. Okay, so Andrew wants, right? Since you're a big 50 Cent fan, I got a question for you. What makes the game soft? And the reason why I asked this, I first came out to California in the mid-2000s, right? I was out here after I got done with the Marines after high school, then the Marines, then I came out here. And then, you know, I was living in Stockton, you know, hanging out with some Samoans, Asian boys, and, you know, and some Crips. And a lot of them did not like 50 Cent at the time. They hated 50 Cent. And the reason why they hated 50 Cent was because of the game. The game was so influential during that time. I mean, look, I would argue the game, other than Tupac Shakur, right? Because there are guys out there that will argue that Tupac is not a real blood. And I'm about to explain later how Tupac is actually a real blood, right? But the most famous blood in the world of hip-hop is the game. I swear to you, you got people in England that are banging Cedar Ridge blood. Okay, that's the neighborhood he comes from, Cedar Ridge or Cedar Block. Cedar Block Bloods in Scotland. Could you imagine, right? That is the influence that the game had on everybody. So I want you to think about that, right? That is a very serious influence that the game had going on. The second aspect that we're going to talk about here is Jon Jones. Jon Jones says he has arthritis. He says that he's not able to compete in wrestling against Daniel Cormier. But for whatever reason, he said that he was able to compete against anybody at the Whitehouse, which I thought was really interesting. Right? So, yeah, man. if there's anybody in the comment section below, let me know if you guys are seeing commercials on, you know, on my page when you put it on, because just out of curiosity, because obviously, yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I turn on the monetization button, because they bring in more people here if you monetize your thing. But on any regard, so yeah, that's the other thing we're going to talk about, right? Jon Jones says he has arthritis. He doesn't want to fight. And as a result of that, here we are. So, okay, listen, we are in Sacramento right now. Let me show you guys around Sacramento, right? This is what I love to do in this channel, other than talk about MMA, talk about California politics, world politics, and everything in between. This is what I love to do, is introduce everybody to the world of California. So if you could just excuse me for just a second, okay? We're going to walk around. Andrew Wants says 50 made the game. You know what? There is some truth to that, right? I mean, considering the fact that if he was never signed, would anybody ever even, you know him from, you know, a can of paint, right? And I think the answer is probably not, right? I think that with all things, right, when it comes to, let's say, the fight world or any sports world, or even the rap world, right? It really matters who you hang out with. It really matters who is in your crew and who is behind you, right? Like, all of these things matter, you know, due to promotional reasons. So something, you know, people really need to think about, okay? So, all right, here we go. We're going up. 50 Cent made fun of Floyd Mayweather for not being able to read. I think that is the funniest thing in the world.
You guys want to walk on this? Right there. You guys want to walk on
He said, F that. Haha. All right, for sure. Oh, this is tight. Look at this, man. You could sit here, have a little smoke, drink, chill. What's up, y'all? How you doing? Look at this. That's right, man. Cali, King. Look at that. Right in the background. King's right there. That is a perfect shot right there, right? This is the perfect shot. And, you know, this is the perfect place to, you know, be sitting around here. He's sitting, he says, out on the town. I mean, you know what? This is regular for me every day, man. This is regular out here, you know, in Sacramento. I told you guys, one of the biggest things that I wanted to emphasize with this channel, right, is basically highlight Sacramento, right? Not just do MMA, but also highlight Sacramento as well. Let me know if you guys are hearing me okay. Obviously, there's a lot of, background noise behind me and whatnot. So, yeah, just please let me know that you guys are hearing me A-okay over here, right? So, okay, so here's the story at hand, right? So, obviously, some of the things that Floyd Mayweather, 50 Cent makes fun of Floyd Mayweather about is not being able to read. Let's talk about that, right? I want you to think about this, right? There's a lot of things that high-level athletes are not able to do, right? Well, think about why. Because if you want to be a high-level athlete in anything, you literally have to forsake everything that you know and love, right? Okay, take for example, Floyd Mayweather is obsessed with basketball. Andrew Nance says, okay, so we're going to get to it, right? Okay, Floyd Mayweather is obsessed with basketball, right? But his dad told him you can't play ball. Could you imagine that, right? You're a boxer, right? Obviously, you guys know, I've done MMA, I've done Muay Thai, I've done all types of combat sports, right? These are all hard fighting sports to do, right? With that, how can you tell a boxer that he can't go out and play basketball? Well, the reason for that is because he didn't want him to get hurt. He did not want Floyd Mayweather to get hurt. Okay? And if you got hurt, then guess what, man? You're not going to be able to fight. Look at what happened with Jamal Hill. You want to know why Jamal Hill had to pull out a few times with that injury that he had going on? It's simply because of the fact that he had, injuries from playing basketball. Bro, listen. Basketball is, obviously it's not a dangerous sport like it is with fighting, with boxing, with MMA and things of that nature, but you could still get hurt. And then if you get hurt, then you can't fight. And if you can't fight, then you can't make money. And that's just really what it comes down to. Andrew Nance says, Floyd's a window shopper. Oh, man. Okay, so you're going to, man, you know what? So here's the thing, right? Here's another thing. A lot of people, I'm not saying this because, I'm a Floyd fan. In fact, I'm not, right? Like, obviously, we're two completely different human beings and two different, type of, first of all, I mean, the guy supports Israel, first and foremost, right? That should tell you a lot about his personality. You know what I mean? He's all about the money. He's all about the clout. And, well, I don't know. But at the same time, though, it is rather weird that he's choosing to support Israel at a time where literally everybody is against Israel. He says, how come all these tiny boxers like to, Is it that, Marty, or is it that, or is it just a cultural thing? Right? Because these things sort of happen in just, certain cultural settings. Look, here's the thing, right? I know that it's easy to sort of judge Gervonta Davis for what he did, right? Oh, look at him. He's a woman beater or this and that. And granted, I get that that's wrong. But I need you to check this out, right? A lot of your grandparents from the 1940s, this is controversial to say, but, your grandma got hit, bro. Your grandma got beat up by granddaddy. And that's on the real. That's on everything. That's on mamas and everything, okay? I'm just being real. And guess what? When she got her ass beat, guess what happened? They made up. He says, you're right, probably cultural and the kind of women around them. Boom. There you go. There you go. That's really what it is, man. That's really what it is. Because look, think about this, right? Let me ask you something. Have you seen Jon Jones's wife? Do you guys ever notice something about, what do you notice about Jon Jones's wife? What do you notice about the wives of a lot of basketball players, right? Then you got Stephen Curry in that one example, right? Stephen Curry, I swear to you, is the biggest cuck in all of the NBA. His bitch can't shut the hell up. She talks in ways that's embarrassing him. And if I were Stephen Curry, I would kick her to the curb. Like, man, get the F up out of here, man. I'm the superstar. I'm the show. Bitch, you need to, fall back. That's what you need to do. That's what it is. But he doesn't, because, he was taught to be a simp, to be this and that. Oh, you know what? This is normal, or this and that. This is just normal for some people. That's just what it is. And again, going back to Gervonta and going back to Floyd, that's just on the real, man. You know what I mean? That's just on the real when I tell you that your grandparents, you know, got into it. And he even said, you know what? Floyd got confronted by this journalist, right? He was doing like an interview with CNN. I'm sorry, not CNN, ESPN, right? He said on the ESPN interview, the dude was grilling him. The dude was grilling him about, you know, that little domestic case going on. You know what Floyd said that was really profound? Okay, because I know sometimes we make fun of Floyd for not being able to read because, you know, he has, you know, low-level intelligence, but there is some intelligence in him, right? He said, you know what? You probably get into it with your significant other, but nobody knows about it. And it just so happens that for whatever reason, whatever led up to whatever led up, it was a situation where he got caught, it was exposed, and that's just really what it comes down to. Andrew Nance says, R.I.P. Kobe 8, number 24. That's right, man. Shout out to Kobe. You know what I mean? Real California legend up in here, man. You know what, man? Kobe, I swear to you, bro, down in L.A., it surprises me how many essays love Kobe Bryant, right? And I think that has something to do with his wife being Mexican because I guess that's really what sports is about, right? Like, even if you come from a neighborhood or come from, you know, a section that, you know, sort of, you know, hates a certain group because, you know, you're from X, Y, and Z or this and that, right? It's like sports is like this unifying thing that brings everybody. And it kind of goes with what Dana White said, right? Dana White said, fighting is a universal thing. It's in our DNA and we all get it, right? So that's kind of the beauty about this sport is that we sort of, you know, have a certain sense of correlation with each other. So he says, Steph, soft, Kobe, hard. Okay, you're going to have to elaborate what that means when you say Steph is a soft, Kobe, hard. What exactly does that mean? Are you saying that he's like the softer version of Kobe? Is that what you're saying? But yeah, man, it definitely not like Kobe. Not in what is this? Not exactly in the basketball sense or in the social sense, right? I mean, Kobe, you know, had everything on lock. You know what I mean? He, you know, he never embarrassed himself. He never really did anything that was, you know, that was detrimental to his personality or it was detrimental to his brand or anything like that. You know, so you got to give him props for that, right? So, so yeah, man. Okay, so going back to the Jon Jones story, right? Jon Jones is saying that he doesn't want to compete against Daniel Cormier in, you know, in RAF, right? The Real American Wrestling Federation show, right? Which basically is real professional wrestling with real pins, real takedowns, and things of that nature, right? Jon Jones said that he didn't want to wrestle Daniel Cormier in that platform because he said that he had arthritis. I'm not saying that he's lying, but let's be honest, right? Who was the Olympic wrestler between him and Daniel Cormier? Obviously, it was Daniel Cormier, right? So therefore, I think that the advantage would probably go with Daniel Cormier just based on the fact that Daniel Cormier is, you know, a much more seasoned wrestler. I mean, Jon Jones, he's a high-level wrestler in college, but that was JUCO, right? So it's a completely different level, right? It wasn't Division I. It wasn't, you know, Olympic-level wrestling. It was just JUCO. Now, there's a reason for that. Could Jon Jones have gone on to the Olympics? Of course. But he got his girl pregnant. He decided that, you know what, he wanted to go pro so that he can make some money straight away. So he jumped into MMA, and that is the reason why he's probably a better MMA fighter than Daniel Cormier is. And Daniel Cormier is probably a better wrestler than Jon Jones. So that is the reason why he's probably refusing to take that matchup, you know, just based on that alone. But at the same time, though, you got to understand, right? He's still willing to go fight at the Whitehouse, right? The Whitehouse card that they're going to have in June. Why is he willing to fight in that, but he's not willing to face Daniel Cormier in wrestling while claiming to have arthritis? Here's the thing, right? If you got arthritis, it's going to be very difficult for you to wrestle. But that doesn't mean that it will be hard for you to fight. There's guys that fight all the time injured, right? I would say about 70% of guys that step into a cage every Saturday, whether it's in the regional scenes or whether it's overseas or whether it's in the UFC or whether it's in some other organization, they always are plagued with injuries. It's just a common thing that they have to deal with, right? Because the training camps are so hard, and with those training camps comes a lot of injuries. So therefore, he can still fight MMA. You can still kick somebody's head in while you have arthritis. You can still knock somebody out with a punch, with a lucky punch, if you got arthritis. You can still submit somebody, take somebody to the ground, choke them, or ground and pound them if they have arthritis. But if you got arthritis and you're stepping in a wrestling mat, it's a little bit more difficult. And this is the reason why I say that wrestling is way harder than just MMA fighting alone, right? Because I want you to think of it like this, right? When it comes to MMA fighting, you can back away, give distance, and give yourself a little bit of a temporary rest. In wrestling, there is no temporary rest. It's head-on, close quarter combat, and constantly grinding and constantly testing your lactic acid. Victory says, John can be an idiot, but he's not dumb. Wrestling DC is not a good idea. Facts. But I think the reason why, look, you seen what happened when he visited Chechnya, right? When him and Kamzat were playing around, they were sort of like just, dogging around and just, kind of grappling it out. Look, if Kamzat can out-grapple Jon Jones, who's a real heavyweight, and Kamzat is a middleweight, what do you think DC's fat ass is going to do with Jon Jones in a wrestling mat? What do you think his fat ass will do to him, right? He will smother him, absolutely smother him. But guess what, man? In the MMA world, Jon Jones can kick his head in, knee him in the face, elbow him, which he's done multiple times, right? He's knocked him out in their last fight, which ended up in a no contest. But that's really what it comes down to. So just scoping out the scene. Just scoping out the scene, y'all. So, let's see, what else is here? Yeah, man. Yeah, a great night, man. Great night out here. So, okay, let's go back to the 50 Cent thing, right? The first time I heard 50 Cent was back in 2000, growing up in New Jersey, right? I remember I heard his record, How to Rob. Boy, let me tell you, everybody in the rap industry at that time was so scared to touch this guy, right? But 50 Cent exposed that there's a lot of pussies in the rap game, all right? There's a lot of dudes that are pussies in the rap game, and he exposed that. Ja Rule, straight pussy. Benzino, straight pussy. Who else? Who else is a pussy in the world of rap at the time? Even now, right? Even now, there's still a lot of guys that he, can expose as straight pussies. Tekashi 6ix9ine, obviously, right? But that's a whole completely different story for a different time. So, the best word to describe him at the time, right? There's a word called iconoclastic. Does anybody know what that word means? It means that whenever there's an iconic figure, right, you challenge that notion. And that's literally what he did at the time, right? He challenged the notion of, okay, well, this guy is this and that and the other. He said otherwise. He said, nah, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. We need more people. You know what I mean? It's one of them type of things. So he proved, like, you know what? Hey, look, man, you ain't really nothing, bro. You ain't really nothing. Look, here's the thing, man. Here's the thing that you got to understand, right? Most guys, when they make it, even 50 Cent, I think, is in this level right now. Most guys, when they make it, I hate to say it, but they become pussified a little bit. You're going to have to. Because look at this. You own things. You know what I mean? You can't go and crash out. You can't go and just, you know, randomly punch somebody in the face because you'll get sued. You can't go slide on somebody because, well, I mean, look, we live in an era where there's a lot of cameras around, right? There's a lot of cameras. People can see what you do. Like right now, for example, look around here, right? Suppose I wanted to crash out right here, or suppose I see somebody here that I recognize that I don't like, and then we get into it. What do you think is going to happen? Straight away, that security who's right there, okay? That security who's right there, along with these cops that are out here, would tackle me to the ground, okay? And straight away send me to jail, right? You know, and then there's cameras around here. They could easily indict me for that. It wasn't like back in the days, bro. When I first moved to Stockton, back in the mid-2000s, bro, let me tell you, it was a real Wild West back then. There were no cameras in traffic lights, and guess what happened in traffic lights, you know, during that time? Man, a lot of people got shot in traffic lights, right? Tupac got shot in Las Vegas, with traffic, right? That's how he got caught. And yo, it's crazy. But he mentioned in a Spice One song, you know, if I catch your ass in traffic, you best believe I'm gonna come polo and blast, you know, something to that effect, right? Basically catch you, you know, at the traffic, right? That's how he got caught, man. He got caught in Las Vegas, in the middle of traffic. And look, if you were to go slide on somebody in Las Vegas right now, they would easily see all of that, right? There's cameras everywhere. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. There's cameras right there. There's cameras right there. There's cameras right there. I dare an idiot to tell me right now, hey, you can't be filming. You can't be filming. I dare somebody to tell me that because you're being filmed around here anyway, right? But not that I would, you know, like just purposely go and violate somebody, you know, for that. Never that, right? But that's the reality of it, right? So, yeah, man. I can't see the comments coming in. You guys are gonna have to let me know if comments are coming in because you know, I can't necessarily see them, right? So yeah, you guys just got to let me know if you know, if there's you know, any traffic going on here. But on any regard, check out this scene that we got going on here. So what else? What else can we talk about with this? Okay, so I think I made my point with Jon Jones, right? He's willing to fight in MMA but not wrestle DC, right? Obviously, that's not a good idea. Okay, so as I told you guys about Floyd, right? I told you guys that him not being able to read is just indicative of the fact that he spent his whole entire life perfecting himself in boxing, right? That's the reason why that is the reason why he can't, you know, he can't read or can't read properly, right? But that's the reason why he's the greatest boxer in the world. Look, you can't have it all, right? It's very hard to have it all, right? Being a high-level athlete and then also being a scholar at the same time, it's not an easy thing, you know, to sort of deal with, right? So,
thank you so much. We certainly appreciate your cooperation. Have a great evening. Enjoy the game. Good Kings. Like the game.
let's have a little walk. Well, no, you know what? We should just stay around here for a minute. When it hits in the 1 hour mark, we'll probably, you know, walk, and then yeah, we'll do a little talking, you know, at the same time. So yeah, okay. Okay. Hey, listen, guys, I'm not able to see the comments right now, so just let me know. Yeah, let me know later. You got to excuse me if I'm not able to, read the comments right now. So, I'm just gonna go off of, I'm just gonna go off of this, and then we'll go from there. So, okay. What more can I emphasize with this Floyd Mayweather 50 Cent thing, right? The whole entire beef, you can't see this. Okay, I just saw that right now. Okay, that I saw. Okay, yeah, just keep commenting so that, we can drive up the algorithm, right? So just continue, just continue typing it up, and then, just interacting so that we can see the, just see who's commenting. Okay, going back to the Floyd Mayweather and 50 Cent beef, right? Both of these guys are highly egotistical, and you would have to be in order to be in the level of where 50 is at, and where Floyd Mayweather is at. You really have to be, borderline arrogant, right? And here's the thing, right? In order to do YouTube, you also got to be borderline arrogant. Look at this. Do you think MMA Guru would go out in the middle of London in his home city and, just randomly talk like this freely without a care in the world? And the answer is no. You want to know why? Because he's an introvert. He relies on people to encourage him online in his basement. I don't need to do that. You see, I could sit right here, talk as loud as I want, and dare anybody to go and do something about it. Dare anybody to go do something about it. Nobody would, right? Because here's the reality of it. I'm a little bit crazy, bro. He says, why did they have a falling out to begin with? Because I believe 50 Cent asked Floyd Mayweather to pay him for the Oscar De La Hoya fight. He says, are people looking at you? They are. And this is the reason why a lot of YouTubers would not come and talk like this out in the middle of public. This is the reason why a lot of YouTubers would not get on and have a live stream session in their, this is the reason why MMA Guru doesn't show you his workout, sessions, right? He said that he built a gym in his studio. All right, let's see you, knock a few out, right? Dedicate one episode or one live stream with you getting it in. And the reason why he doesn't is because there's nothing interesting about it. Everything that I do, right, in the workout videos, they are all action-packed, bro. You know what I mean? They are a must-see, right? There's a reason why I'm willing to film it and why others are not, because let's just be real about this, right? You know what I mean? There's nothing really impressive, about what they do, right? And then on top of that, the only thing that he did was that pathetic performance that he did against Armin Sarukian, and as a result of that, that's what MMA Guru is going to be known for his whole entire career. It doesn't matter if he becomes, the biggest YouTuber ever. It doesn't matter if he becomes, the biggest streamer ever, right? He will always be known as that guy that got snapped down by Armin Sarukian in that wrestling session that they had going on. Hey, that's a nice dog. There it is, right? See, I'm made for this, guys. I'm made for YouTube. I am made for YouTube, and I'm sorry if that comes across as cocky to a lot of people, but the reality is, man, I have so much confidence in myself that I just don't think anybody will deny me of anything, right? I could get into any club I want if I really wanted to. I'm not a club-going guy. I could get into any restaurant I want. I could get in there and, and wow the room, man. I got that Donald Trump personality. He says, you need to do street interviews. Okay. I mean, I don't know if this is the type of crowd to sort of do that. We'll see. we'll see. You know what I mean? Because, you know, it is, this is a basketball crowd. I mean, there's a basketball game going on, right? So, I don't know if that's really, you know, feasible in any kind of way. He says, you don't have to do it now. Okay. But, I mean, if there was a time to do so, it would probably be right now. But, you know what? Maybe if there's a UFC event going on here, maybe I should, you know, do that. Okay, so he says he's the typical 20-something male these days. He can sit and run his mouth behind the screen, but is a complete goof in person. Yes, that is literally what he is, bro. Because look, here's the thing, right? A lot of these dudes, you know, they don't have social skills because of the environment that they sort of grew up under. Now, look, here's the thing, right? I think at 40 years old, I'm a little bit more privileged than the younger guys. Right? I'm still young enough to, you know, keep up with them, obviously, more than, you know, keep up with them. I mean, completely dominate them in every setting of, you know, working out, MMA, or conditioning, or this, that, and the other. I can absolutely do all of that, right? He says, I'm just saying that's something you should try in the future over the next big political controversy. Oh, okay. Okay, that's good. That's good, man. Yeah, that would be good. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. Although there is a lot of political controversies right now. You know what? I tell you what. We have 20 minutes until the 1 hour mark, right? Once we have the 1 hour mark, maybe we can go walk around and let's see who we find in the process. The real Waffler Stomper, he says, W. Kyrie, it's JD Vance. Oh my God! Yo! It is JD Vance Republicanism. That is awesome, man. You know, I'm yelling out here. People think like JD Vance is actually like, you know, hitting me up. But you know what, man? Shout outs to you, man. You know what I mean? This is great. My biggest fan, as people in the chat say to you. Come on, we got to hear the line spit right now. We got to hear that line, right? Kyrie is so awesome because he lets you say whatever you want as long as you don't say anything that violates YouTube policy, and as long as you don't insult him, then he's absolutely going to roast you. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, right? So that's what it is, man. And then, yeah, man, yeah, you better look the other way, fool. You know what I'm saying? This ain't the one. I'm not the one, fool. What's up? Huh? What's up? I'm not the one, fool. Yeah, back up. You and your bitch, nigga. I'll fuck you up. You and your bitch, nigga. What's up? Anyways, man, I am fired up tonight, man. Listen, you know Dana White said about Sean Strickland when Sean Strickland ran up on MGK? He said to MGK, he said, listen, it's not an MGK problem. It's a Sean Strickland problem. He can't be around humans, bro. I think I'm the same way, bro. I really can't be around I mean, look, I'm around certain humans, but think about this, right? The only people that I'm friends with, let's be honest about this, right? The only people that I'm friends with are fighters, gang members, and military people, and then just regular old tough guys, right? Those are the type of people that are my friends. Military people, gangsters, and fighters. What do they all have in common? They are the type of people that don't give a F about anything, right? Military people are loud. Gangsters are loud. Fighters can sometimes be loud depending on their personality, right? And it all varies from the Conor McGregors to the Stephen Wonderboy Thompsons of the world. Thank you for that, Real Waffler. JD Vance. I'm going to call you JD Vance from now on, right? Hey, by the way, what is your fascination with JD Vance, by the way, right? Is it because he was a Marine? Or maybe you were a Marine as well? Or maybe you had family members that were a Marine? Or maybe that's why you enjoy the channel because, you know, I have that one thing in common with JD Vance. Here's the thing, right? I'm going to be honest with you guys. Let's get a little political right now, right? I think Gavin Newsom, and I'm not saying this because I'm a California guy, but I think Gavin Newsom is going to become the next president, right? The way that Trump is going right now, a lot of people are very disgruntled with Trump, okay? And the swing voters could easily sway towards Gavin Newsom. That is unless JD Vance does something about it. Now, here's the thing. I want to see JD Vance do good. Because you know what? Me and JD Vance are the same age. Did you guys know that? We're the same age. right? I want to see a guy that's 40 years old, that's my age, becoming president of the United States. That would be awesome. He says that's fine. Okay, he says he speaks the truth and gave for the country. What else is there to say? Shout out to you, man. He says JD has the new generations in his hands too. Huh, okay, the new voters appeal to him. Right. Look, here's the thing, right? The fact that he's my age, I want to see him do good. Most guys, they don't like it when they see a guy their age do good because they're losers. Let's just be honest about that. A lot of you that don't like to see other people do good, your age is because you're a freaking loser. That's just really what it is. Let's just be honest about that, right? You are a freaking loser if you don't like seeing people your age do good. Okay, you see Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. He's also my age, right? So me, JD Vance, Mohammed bin Salman, they are all the same age as me, right? Ronaldo is the same age as me. We all come from a very... this is the thing, right? This is why we're very sociable people, because we come from an era where there was no internet, but then there was also an era where we sort of ran across the internet, so we know how to manipulate the internet as well as also being, you know, a social butterfly. We know how to be social butterflies. He says Minnesota is a bunch of sore losers right now. Why is that? Let me know why is that. What's going on in Minnesota? Is there something going on in Minnesota right now that that I don't know about? Let me know, you know, Real Wafflers. He says, JD definitely seems like the most sensible candidate we've had in decades. All right, so here's the thing, right? That's the opinion. Okay, they are after ICE right now. Look it up. Oh, okay. So they're basically trying to, you know, send some sort of message towards ICE or, yeah, okay, I gotcha. Okay, so what we think is completely irrelevant to, let's say, what the sentiments of the whole entire country is, right? Now, look, does Gavin Newsom have his own flaws? Absolutely. Man, there's a lot of scandals that you could name off the top of your head dealing with Gavin Newsom. But the fact that Trump is so aggressive, the fact that Trump is, you know, is becoming very abrasive, not only that, very unforgiving, right? I think that's going to cause a ripple effect. That's really what it is. How you doing, man? I'm doing a live stream. Y'all want to join?
Which app is it?
YouTube. I'm on YouTube. Kyrie. Right now I got about like 10 people, you know, in here. It's Kyrie Abu El-Kheer MMA. I do MMA. Yeah. Yes. That's right. Yes. Good, man. I just came from the gym right now. Yeah. Now I'm just doing this because it's a good background and there's a good, you know, group of people here, you know. So yeah, man, you know, just yeah. Are you guys watching the game, or are you just strolling by, or you just came from the gym too? Okay, awesome. Oh man, great, man. This is awesome, right? Having the gym there and then the Kings here. Great night, man. Take care, guys. Have a good one. He says, it's huge. Tell them much love. Oh, yes. W people, W Kyrie's community. There it is, man. There it is. Yup. There it is. Sup with that bud? Sup with that weed? Hell yeah, man. That's what's up, man. Yup. But yeah, look. So going back to what I was saying about you know, Newsom, right? It's not that I want that. It's not that, you know, that's what I wish. I don't really care. I don't got a stake in the game, but I need y'all to understand this, right? I need y'all to understand this. The sentiment that Trump, you know, created is so hostile, right? That a lot of the swing voters are going to swing out of his way. Because you got to remember, right? What makes America are the swing voters, not the Fox News, straight right-wing red team, not the, you know, MSNBC or the Young Turks, you know, blue team of the Democrats. What makes America are the swing voters. That's what ultimately makes America are the swing voters. You know what I mean? So why would there be a possibility of a swing vote? Because of all the tension that is going on right now. Usually, whenever people want new change, that is where a lot of these changes sort of come about. So I need you guys to remember that. 10 more minutes of this, 10 more minutes of this, and then we're going to walk around and scope out the scene, have a little bit of a walk around. You know what I mean? So we'll, you know, we'll see what's up. You know what I mean? So, okay, we got, this week, we got UFC in the Apex, right? Is anybody really excited for that? To be honest with you, man, not really. Look, if I was not covering MMA, I probably would not really care about this weekend. But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. These fights need to happen in order for you to cultivate the next stars of tomorrow. Think about this, right? How did Sean Strickland become a star? Through the Apex. How did Sean O'Malley become a star? Through the Apex and through the Dana White Contender Series. He says, that's going to be awesome. He says, I don't even know who's fighting. Yeah, I don't know either. You know what? During the week, I'm probably going to, you know, look at who's fighting. Maybe I might do a live stream. Maybe I won't. But we'll see what's up. You know what I mean? We'll see what's up, and, you know, we'll see what we can do from there. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't even know who's fighting. Look up, yo, if you could do me a favor real quick, right? Look up who's fighting this week, and then let's see if we can, you know, talk about it briefly, right? But, all right. So going back to the Floyd Mayweather and 50 Cent beef, right? They started beefing because of the Oscar De La Hoya fight. 50 Cent wanted a certain amount of money for performing in Mayweather's entrance. Because remember, man, when did Oscar De La Hoya fight Floyd, right? That was when 2007. So around 2007, 50 Cent came out with funeral music, right? And then years prior before that, he came out with Get Rich or Die Trying. And then he had that other album, right, where he had, you know, the Baltimore Crack song, you know, in it, right? So he was hot at the time, right? So he demanded a lot of money, especially for a fight that was really big at the time. Look, Oscar De La Hoya and Floyd Mayweather at the time was a real huge fight. It was a real huge fight. And the reason why it was a huge fight is because of, well, let's be honest about this, right? You know, there's a racial element behind it, right? Whenever there's a black fighter and a Mexican fighter, man, listen, people, you know, hop on it real quickly, right? They hop on it because it's exciting. There's a lot of people that, you know, sort of throw themselves into that mix, right? You got one group, you know, going for Floyd, and you got another group going for Oscar, and it's usually, you know, a certain demographic, right? He says, yup, hold on. Oh, okay, you're looking up who's fighting. Okay. So the dispute came from that, right? And then I believe in probably around 2010s, 2011s or so, Floyd and 50 were always hanging out at his mansion. And look, here's the thing, right? This is a lesson for a lot of y'all. If you got homies that are very volatile people, you need to hang out with them sparingly, okay? You can't hang out with them all the time. And during the early 2010s, Floyd and Mayweather were hanging out every day. Can you imagine, right? Floyd Mayweather with all of his arrogance, right? And then you got 50 Cent with all of his arrogance, and then you mix these two together, and now they're hanging out every day. This is a disastrous situation. They are going to fight. They are going to scrap, and they are going to get it on. And as a result of that, oh, okay, so the main event is Mario Batista and Vicinius Oliveira. Okay, I know who Mario Batista is. I'm quite familiar with him. I'm not really quite familiar with Vicinius Oliveira. Amir Alibazi versus Kyuji Haraguchi co-main event. Okay, that's a good co-main event. Yes, very familiar with Haraguchi. Obviously, I'm also very familiar with Amir Albazi, right? Iraqi-American fighter. So Vicinius Oliveira, not so much, right? Obviously, we know Mario Batista with his win against Jose Aldo. And when he won that fight, bro, people were really upset because it's like he took out a legend, but then here's Conor McGregor who knocked him out in 13 seconds, and as a result, they really didn't care. So, remember, going back to the Floyd Mayweather and 50 Cent thing, right? If you got friends that are volatile, you can only hang out with them seldom. You can't hang out with them every day. Because if you do, you will eventually get into a fight, you will fall out. And this is just something that I've noticed from my own anecdotal experience. A lot of guys have fallen out due to the fact that they are volatile people. They are people that are highly arrogant, right? Which kind of mixes into a lot of conflict that you could bring into the table. A lot of arguments that you could bring into the table. Some of the arguments that 50 Cent and Floyd Mayweather had to deal with gambling. They would shoot dice at the house, and then on top of that, after they were shooting dice, now they're arguing about, like, you know, who has to get paid with what, and so it just leads, you know, one thing to another. Look, going back to, you know, not knowing who Vicinius Oliveira is, right? Here's something you got to understand, right? I think the UFC really needs to do a better job of promoting these guys, right? Sort of give them a little bit of a story. Look, back in the days, right, since they are now a WWE company, now that they're owned by TKO, they need to learn from this, right? Back in the days, they didn't have Monday Night Raw for WWE. They didn't have SmackDown. They didn't have pay-per-views every month, right? They sort of had pay-per-views every other month. There was a Survivor Series for November. There was Royal Rumble for January. And then from Royal Rumble, you know, months on, you have nothing going on. This was in the 80s. You had nothing going on, and then you had WrestleMania maybe in March or April, right? Well, how did they remain relevant, right? With the lack of schedule that they had going on. Obviously, they had an advantage with going on the road, right? They would call dark matches, right? Matches that were not on, that were not broadcasted. Matches that were not on TV, right? And sometimes they would not even be official. Sometimes some people would actually win, you know, titles in these dark matches, right? And then you would hear about it, right? Very similar to when, if you guys remember that wrestler, Kevin Nash, Big Daddy Cool Diesel, right? He won his title at a dark match against Bob Backlund. If you remember, that's when Bob Backlund beat Bret Hart, right? And so then they had a match, a dark match in, you know, in New York, right? Wasn't televised, right? And it was literally like an 8-second match, right? He basically front kicked him, power bombed him, and then pinned him for the 1-2-3. That was a whole entire 8 seconds of Kevin Nash's championship win, right? Okay, so what did they do back in the days to promote what they did? They had cartoons, right? If you remember, they had Rock and Wrestling, right? With Hulk Hogan, and then these other characters that were involved in the WWE. So that's what the UFC needs to do, something like that. They don't necessarily have to make cartoons, but how about make like a segment where you interview LaRon Murphy, right? You interview LaRon Murphy. You're like, hey, look, this is how LaRon Murphy got shot. This is how LaRon Murphy got hit up. This is how he got hit up with 5 bullets and then survived it. Very similar to a 50 Cent, you know, story, right? That is how you promote that, right? That is how you do that. You go into in-depth documentaries of these guys, and I would imagine that's very expensive to do. Now, here's the thing, right? As content creators, we should probably do that. I could probably go and make a LaRon Murphy documentary tonight. I could easily go do that, right? But I don't know if that will, you know, really, you know, get any. I don't think it will really get any traction. I don't think, right? So I think a lot of creators sort of, you know that. So yeah, that's the reason why they don't do it. So okay. we're going into, you know, hour number 2. We're probably just going to use hour number 2 to, you know, kind of just tour around here. So let's do a little recap, right? So we talked about Jon Jones, right? Why Jon Jones is not able to compete in wrestling against Daniel Cormier, because he has arthritis, and arthritis means a whole lot more in the world of wrestling than it does in MMA, because you can have arthritis, you can have injuries, you can still fight MMA through all of that, right? You can still head kick someone, you can still take someone down and then get a submission, but in wrestling, it's going to be very difficult to compete when you have underlying injuries such as arthritis. And then also, he just knows that DC is the much more formidable wrestler, and that is why he will never give DC the leverage advantage in his world in ways that Jon Jones is a superior MMA fighter where he has that. He says Jailton Almeida versus Rizwan Kunev. Okay, so that's going to be a very interesting heavyweight fight. I'm going to probably go with Jailton. I think Rizwan is going to win that one by decision. It's very difficult to finish Jailton Almeida. I know he's coming off of a loss right now, a decision loss, but he's still a tough fighter, and I think that this fight will go the distance. So, okay, the other recap that we did, 50 Cent making fun of Floyd Mayweather, right? He literally said to him, look, let's make sure that you look good in the Mike Tyson fight so we can get you the bag. And then he goes on and says, I want to match him up with Terrence Crawford so that he can get his ass beat. Look, there's a reason why Floyd is not boxing guys like Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford would put him in a morgue, okay? You know what I mean? He would absolutely destroy him, right? I mean, Terrence Crawford is literally like Floyd, but a whole lot more powerful and athletic. I want you to understand that, right? Let me repeat that again. Terrence Crawford is exactly like Floyd, but with athleticism and the strength of Kamzat, okay? Like, Terrence Crawford is literally the Kamzat of the boxing world. He says, Dustin Jacoby versus Julius Walker, light heavyweight bout. Okay, Julius Walker. Why does that sound familiar? That's not Johnny Walker, is it? Or did you make a typo that it was Johnny Walker or not? But yeah, either way, let me know. I'm going to go with Dustin Jacoby on that one. Probably by knockout. So, yeah. So the beef with Floyd Mayweather, obviously, it stemmed from the fact of when, you know, he wanted to get paid for the Oscar De La Hoya fight entrance, and so it never came about. And then before you know it, they started getting into some beef because, you know, they've always had money disputes. These guys were like, you know, playing dice with each other, owing each other money. So then it just led one thing to another. And then you got 50 Cent doing the, hey, Floyd, you know, read, I don't know what he told him to read, some sort of like nursery rhyme or something like that. But yeah, he told him to read something to, you know, kind of show that he has no reading skills at all. And why is that? Well, he has no reading skills because guess what, man? He spent his whole entire life perfecting his boxing, okay? And that is the reason why he can't read the way that I can or the way that any educated person can. That's just what it is, because he spent his whole entire life doing that. So the last time that I think 50 and Floyd saw each other was right here, 2023, when the Kings were playing the Golden State Warriors in the beginning of the first round. So, okay, so it is Julius Walker. Okay, again, somebody that I don't know, but maybe after this weekend, after checking it out, maybe we will get to know who Julius Walker is. Either way, we will see, okay? So, all right, let's do a little walk around real quick. How you doing? How are you? Okay, awesome, thank you. Yeah, I have some political questions ready. He asked, okay, we'll see. You know what, hopefully, I hope that song was loud enough so that it doesn't like kind of penetrate. I hope that it's loud enough so that it didn't really penetrate through the sound of the phone, because, you know, the last thing we want to do is get this thing, you know, copyright struck. So hopefully that doesn't, you know, that doesn't affect it in any kind of way. So, yeah, you know, let's see here.
Where are you going, blood? Damn, you were,
Oh, shit. All right. Okay, the music didn't go through very well at all. Okay, good. Says he guesses their chicken. Yeah, that's like, you know, that's why, you know, it's hard to trust, you know, it's hard to trust it if it's, yeah, you know, like one of them things. No! We gotta mute this real quick. All right, man. Okay, so I hope I had to mute that. I had to mute that real quick because I didn't want to. Yeah, man, that was very prominent. I had to mute that so it didn't get any copyright struck. So, perfect. Okay, so you guys can hear me now, right? Okay. So now we're heading into old Sacramento. What if you did some gang or homeless interviews like Tommy G? You know what? Listen, I've thought about that, right? I've thought about that, and I'm gonna be honest with you, right? I don't know how Adam 22 does it, because a lot of the guys that I ask to do that, they're very apprehensive about it, right? You know, just simply because, you know, they don't want their politics. Look, here's something you got to understand, right? A lot of guys that Adam 22 has interviewed, they've all gotten indicted in some kind of fashion. You know what I mean? They've all gotten indicted in some kind of fashion. And, oh, what is this? Union Hotel. Hold on a second. Yeah, so they've all gotten, you know, indicted in some kind of way. I tell you what, he went down to go interview the homies, you know, down in Long Beach, the Asian boy Crips down in Long Beach, right? And, well, look, they never really faced anything. They never really faced any strife or any, you know, static from it, or, you know, gained investigation in their hands or anything like that. And that is simply because, you know, they just kind of knew how to play the game. They kind of knew what not to say, what to say. So, you know, with other guys, I don't know, they just either can't help themselves, they're either too shy, or, you know, it's also a timing issue as well, right? You know, so that's also another thing, you know, to consider, just a bit of some timing issues. So, he says, blur their face. Ah, okay. I mean, you know, you don't necessarily have to do that. I mean, you could just have them all wear balaclava masks, right? You know, that's one way of doing it. Okay, little old school shootout corral right there. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think I would need to blur faces or anything like that. You know, like maybe just, yeah, a mask or something like that. That's probably, you know, that's probably more appropriate and less time consuming, right? Because, you know, if you have to blur somebody's face out in a video, it's a lot of work, man, you know, because then you got to follow them in every single scene. You know, you got to make sure that every scene they're like covered. So it's, I don't know. And then, you know, I'm not yet really technically savvy like that to, you know, to do that. So yeah, if they're gonna have to do something like that, yeah, it'd have to be, you know, you know, face mask and all. So, you know, it's one of them things. Shiesties, yes, exactly. Yeah, that's what they got. That's what they would have to wear, our shiesties. You're right. Yes, that would be the only way. This is the bridge. See, he says English literate, says Kyrie, can you provide where I can get more information on Tommy G stuff? It's if he's getting people. No, not Tommy G. No, God, no. Man, you know, he went and interviewed, you know, my homies in, you know, in 8th Street in Stockton. No, he's not getting anyone indicted. No, Tommy G is a G, bro. You know, like his name, his last name, if that's even his real last name, to begin with, or some letter that begins with a G, he really is a G because, yeah, man, you know, he doesn't, let me just say he's pretty schooled, right? He's classically schooled in knowing what to say and what not to say. So, you know, that's really the best way to put it. I think if Tommy G was to settle in one particular city, right, I think he would probably, you know, join, you know, the group of, you know, whatever city he's in. But yeah, look, this is how close we are to the bridge right now. Look at this. See, we got this right here, and he says, thank you for clarifying. Yeah, it's Adam 22 that's getting all the people indicted. In fact, that is the controversy behind Adam 22. Adam 22 has gotten a lot of people indicted in the past, okay? Like people from Chicago, a lot of his former hosts, Brick Baby, he caught a federal charge with the Rolling 60s Crip, right? He caught a RICO charge. All these other Chicago guys, right? All of a sudden, a group of these Chicago guys pull up to No Jumper. They do an interview, and the next thing you know, 2 weeks later, you know, the detectives in Chicago are picking up on their interviews that they did in LA, and now they're getting indicted, right? Like, that's this type of stuff that, you know, that Adam 22 sort of had going on. So check this out right there, right? You know, the king of Sacramento right here, showing you guys Sacramento, right? You can't be the king of Sacramento if you don't do content like this, you know, representing your city like that. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to do with this, you know, MMA YouTube stuff, you know, trying to put, you know, MMA on the map. He says, that was news to me, LOL. Yeah. No, Tommy G, bro, he's, you know, he is, he's solid, bro. He's solid. A lot of the homies that told me when he went to Stockton to go interview them, right? They told me a lot of good things about Tommy G. You know, he rolled up there with his Mercedes-Benz, you know, G-Wagon. He let the homies, you know, drive it. He drove the homies around. The homies showed him around. It was, you know, it was good, man. It was all good, you know, banter for, you know, for old boy. He says, yeah, Sacramento is beautiful, by the way. Yeah, man, it is, especially at night, right? Especially when you got this going on. And you don't necessarily you don't necessarily really appreciate it if you're from here. But, you know, rest assured, when you look at it from the outside, or when I have outsiders like you guys, you know, check it out. You guys definitely make me appreciate it and, you know, and see it for what it is. Because remember, if you're from a certain place, right? This is something that I learned traveling around the world. If you're from a certain place, you will never see that place the way that a local does, right? Like, for example, you go to Washington, D.C., right? Do the locals go and take pictures at the Lincoln Memorial or, you know, Capitol Hill or the White House? No, they don't. You know, in fact, if they live in Washington, D.C., they probably are living there, you know, they're probably living there doing a political job, or, you know, something to do with like one of the parties, or something to do with a senator, or something to that extent, right? Similar to Sacramento, a lot of people that, you know, sort of, you know, live here, at least in the downtown area in particular, are government workers and, you know, and people that are in that particular field. He says, yeah, cool to see, because I'll probably never be there, LOL. You never know, man. You never know. You never know. You never know where you will be, right? Hey, just like what's that boy's name? Jack from Titanic. You know, what did he say when he was sitting there with all of these, you know, rich, posh folks, right? He says, yeah, I live my life every day not knowing what to do. In other words, you're unemployed and homeless. You know what I mean? And, you know, I just go where the wind takes me. So in other words, you have no direction in your life, but you ran across this, you know, this chick that you ended up, you know, getting with while she was, you know, married. So she was, you know, a real 304 and all of that. So, you know, all of that, man. So, how you doing, man? Good, good. Hey, what do you think about ice? You want to hop on real quick? You want to hop on? For sure, for sure. See, there it is, man. You know, sometimes, you know, some people can be a little bit apprehensive. Hey, my man, give them a break. Don't give them no ticket, yeah? You know, whoever, give them a break for a night, yeah? Oh, you did? Okay, so now it's time to crack down, right? Bilal Muhammad Fan Club says, what's up, bros? What's up, man? How are you? Shout out to all you guys, man. So, all right, guys. Yeah, listen, I think that's all that we got for the night. Obviously, I'm going to close it out right here. I'm just going to walk around with you guys right now and then just, you know, sort of end it here. We'll probably head towards the parking lot. Oh, look, somebody getting towed over here. What's going on? Okay, let's go check out some action right here. See what's going on real quick. All right, so let's see of the activity that is going on here. Ooh, they about to tow somebody's car. Uh-oh. Oh, and look. How about that? Sean O'Malley. He says, dude, how good are you with dating advice? You know what, man? Listen. Can I be honest with you? There is no such thing as dating advice, right? I understand there's guys out there like Myron Gaines, like Andrew Tate, and then there's a whole bunch of these other guys that, you know, kind of pretend like they know what is going on. Dude, there is no right way, right? You just got to be natural. You need to understand, right, that Allah made man and woman. And it's really that simple. I think the modern world really muddies up the waters when it comes to understanding these basics, right? Allah made a man, Allah made a woman. It doesn't get any more complicated than that, right? Be natural. Eventually, there's somebody that's going to like you, and then, you know, next thing you know, you will fulfill your obligation. I mean, at least that's how we look at it in, you know, in Islamic terms, right? You know, in the obligation of being, you know, being married and whatnot. So, yeah, so that's just something that you have to understand. Look, I think anybody who says that they know dating or understands dating, dude, you got to be very skeptical of these people, okay? Because look, here's the thing, right? There are a lot of things that I do know, and then there's a lot of things I don't know, but I do know that there is no right way or wrong way when it comes to that particular question, that line of questioning that you just asked me. Okay, we're gonna go to, this is the comedy club right here. I think I've showed you guys this plenty of times. My boy A1, the rapper from the Bay Area, he filmed his lowrider out here, right? And yeah, you know, he filmed a music video out here, so. See, some comedians right here. See? Oh, look. Look at that, Uncle Joey. Remember him? Remember him, Uncle Joey. Keenan Baker, I don't know who that is. Oh, there it is. There's Seinfeld right there. Oops, we got some music playing right here. He says, I wonder if Brendan Schaub ever performed there. He did. Listen, that's a very good question. He did. He did perform out here before. Yes, Brendan Schaub has performed out here before. And, you know, and as a result of that, yeah, he's mentioned being out here in Sacramento. Look, one of his cars that he customs, right? I believe it was his Ford Raptor. He brought it out here, right? He would drive from LA, right? 5 to 6 hours from LA to Sacramento just to get it done, right? He would come out here, he would get a hotel, maybe he'll do a gig, you know, in that spot, and maybe other comedy spots out in Sacramento as well. I know there's one in the Arden area. What is that one called? Yeah, this other comedy club that's in the Arden area. It's also very prominent, but he's performed there too. But yeah, he's definitely performed at that spot, and then he's also performed at the other one in the Arden area. I just can't remember the name. Yeah, I just can't remember the name right now. He says he just did a set at the Ring Magazine Awards. I want to see it so bad. You know what? He talked about that, right? He said that Turkey El-Sheikh allowed him to roast him. And you know that's not a possibility. You know what I mean? You can't just go there and roast Turkey El-Sheikh without any consequences behind it. You know what I mean? That is one guy, excuse me, that is one guy that you are not allowed to roast. And I promise you, if you roast him, yeah, it would be all bad. It would be all bad. You know what I mean? I mean, they say that it's okay, but, you know, imagine if he made a joke about Khashoggi, right? Imagine Brendan Schaub went up there, hey, you know, how about that Khashoggi guy? Oh, boy. Turkey El-Sheikh. Listen, bro, you know, Turkey El-Sheikh, he has this, like, you know, really, powerful grin about him, right? Like, you could tell with the grin that he has, you could tell that he's really mad. Now imagine, right? Imagine the kind of face he would make if he was to make, you know, some kind of joke about Khashoggi, right? I mean, he says that they allowed them to, you know, joke about that, but you know that's not what it is. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you can joke about the Shias, you know, which are an enemy of Saudi Arabia. Maybe you can joke about the Jews, which are sort of their allies, but also their enemy at the same time. But man, if you make a joke about Turkey El-Sheikh, yo, I think he'll send, you know, the hitman after you. He says, who? Yes, for real. Yeah, I'm talking about Turkey El-Sheikh saying that, you know, that he allowed people to roast him, you know, at the Ring Magazine Awards. You know what I mean? But that's not, you know, necessarily the case. So, all right, here we go. We're going down the tunnel again. He says Brandon did a set at the Ring Magazine Awards and said that he roasted Turkey. Yeah, but at what extent did he roast Turkey? Okay, history of Sacramento. Oh, okay, you were answering English. He says, yeah, it's wild if it's true. All right. And then there's an upstairs right there too. By the way, guys, this used to be a mall, by the way, right? This used to be a mall, and then they just completely rearranged it, and yeah. Yeah, it went from a mall to, you know, basically an arena overnight. Looks like the DJ set is done. Oh, snap. Look at this. Central. So we're basically back to where we were at earlier. So. All right, so it looks like everyone's in right now. See, all right. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to leave it off with this, okay? Okay, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next episode, inshallah.